Welcome back to Gerodynamics. Okay, so I don't usually do videos on this topic, and I'm just kind of just doing this off the cuff, doing it real quick. Didn't really plan this out all that well, so the lighting's off and everything, but whatever. So I got a notification that the Commander Committee made some ban rulings, and usually that's not something I'm very excited about. I am of the mindset that cards shouldn't be banned in Commander, that any conversations as far as cards being banned should be amongst a play group. And so very rarely am I going to be excited when they say there's a ban announcement. Well, this one was extra, and I'm let's just say very unhappy about the fallout. And I'm going to give my perspective, which is going to be different than a lot of people's perspective that you're going to hear today. Basically, I don't come at this I'm definitely not a competitive Commander player, CEDH. I'm barely a casual Commander player in that I don't get to play that often, and I would love to be able to play more, but I don't get to play that often. And so I'm more of a casual player who doesn't get to play that often. Finance. I'm interested in finance, but I'm not the guy that's going to be going out there and buying and selling cards. I don't even do a lot of trades. I try, but I don't have a lot of time, and I don't have a lot of access to make trades happen. And I only kind of like buy and sell, as I see a good situation that's going to be pretty easy to pull off with someone locally. So it's not even really a finance thing. But for me, I'm a collector. And so my main perspective is from the collecting of these cards. I'm also a collector from the focus of Commander in general. Although I do collect standard sets. I collect all the sets as they come out as far as standard rotation goes. Any extra sets like Modern Horizons or back when they used to do master sets, I usually didn't collect whole sets, but I wanted the cards for my Commander collection in case I wanted to build a deck, and I would like to have a copy of the card for my Commander collection. So typically speaking, I was just trying, if anything was a new card that they put out, I wanted a copy of it, so just in case, right? And so that's how I work. But what I also do is, beginning especially with the variant era, where they were putting out all these variants, I'd like to only really own one copy of a card. And I'd like it to be the copy that I like the most. So if it's a full art, version, full art foil version that I think is the nicest looking or is the most blingiest or whatever, that's the one that I'd like to have in my collection. The rest of them I'd be more than happy to move off. But again, I'm not a finance guy, so I don't have a chance to sell a lot. And so my plan was to eventually narrow the whole collection down to single copies and sell off the collection as a whole. Obviously, I wouldn't get top dollar in that situation, but that's not my focus. Finance is not my focus. Making as much money as possible is not my focus. So here's the thing. Why does this ban bother me? Well, a couple reasons, but the main reason being is I went to a lot of effort to get these cards that the best versions that I could of these cards so that I could play them in decks. Or if I was going to go out and make a proxy for another deck, it could be based on the fact that I own this card and this version of the card. It's kind of my mindset, and I do like the idea of collecting. I've always kind of been a collector, whether it's Magic or comic books or video games or whatever it happens to be. You can see a couple of things I collect behind me right now. And so for me to then now say, okay, well, now I have these cards. I can't play with them. They're not really going to be worth nearly as much, if anything, moving forward. And I put a lot of money and effort and time into getting these specific versions. It makes me say, why am I doing this moving forward? That's where it comes into play, because so if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll have seen the video probably where I opened on the channel the textured Jeweled Lotus. Probably the most exciting opening I've had on the channel, most excited I got when I opened it, and I still own that card. I've never sold that card. And now I can't put it in decks for the most part, unless I have a conversation beforehand and everybody agrees that that card is okay in our play group. But as far as, value, obviously it's going to tank. How far, I don't know, but we shall see. And so, like, the value of it's not there. When I pulled that card, I already had a foil copy of Jeweled Lotus. So, I would have loved to have moved that card. It just never happened. The deal never went through. A couple of trades and deals I was looking at doing, it just never happened. So I still own that card. So now technically I own 2 Jeweled Lotuses, both foil, one textured, one just a regular foil, of this card that I can't play with anymore, and that is not going to be worth anything. No one's going to want to buy it or trade it, most likely. And that's where we are. So Dockside Extortionist, when they came out with the foil etched version of that, I was like, okay, this is the version that I want. My favorite foiling is foil etched. So they had a Dockside Extortionist in foil etched. That's the one I wanted, and that's what I did. I went out and got one. It's not worth, well, I think recently I actually did go back up to more than I paid for it, but it's not worth what I paid for it. But that I didn't care about, because I know they're going to reprint it. It's not going to be worth as much as I paid for it, probably. It's a good possibility anyways. But this, now I can't even play with it. I had no intention of selling that card. I do have another one, again, another Dockside Extortionist, the original Commander version, and now it's probably going to be worth almost nothing. And I did a trade for that. So all the cards I traded away are wasted because I now have this card that's not going to be worth anything and I can't play with anymore. Mana Vault. Ooh, Mana Vault. Mana Crypt, sorry. Mana Crypt. I have Mana Crypt, the original version of Mana Crypt, the magazine copy of it. Same kind of situation. I traded into it. That's the one that I wanted. I wanted it more than anything else. I think someone's getting my keys, so I will be right back. Hey, buddy. Sure. There you go. All right, see you. I should restart this video, but I don't want to. So you saw me get up and give my keys to my brother. Well, you probably didn't. No, you can't see him. But anyways. Sorry, anyways. Mana Crypt. I went to a lot of effort to get a original copy of Mana Crypt because I love that old border. I loved the history behind it. Went to a lot of effort to get that card. Traded a lot of cards for it. I think I probably did trades and cash too. So, and now that, so it's frustrating, especially as a collector. If I was a finance guy and I owned multiple copies of these cards, I'd probably be even more upset. But mostly I'm just upset because now I have these cards in my collection that I can't do anything with. I went to a lot of effort to get them. And now what? Nadu is there too. I did go out and get a foil etch copy of Nadu because, I like foil etch, and Nadu was a card that I could see myself playing at some point. That one I'm not as upset about, but these other cards, they're now not worth what, they're not. It depends on what they do, right? So here's my take on it. I'm hoping that because there was talk about another format, another Commander variant that allows for less cards to be banned, not CEDH, but not regular Commander, because you can have a banned as Commander list, you can have these cards, and I'm just hoping that becomes a thing and I can move forward with playing these cards, other than having rule zero conversations with everybody about these cards being in my deck. It's just disappointing. It just makes me like, why do I want these you know, if they're going to tank the value on every card and they're going to just ban cards when they realize that they're too popular or they're too strong, what's the point moving forward with collecting? It's frustrating. And yeah, that's a perspective of a collector. I'm super disappointed in this, and hopefully they can get this, get something done that makes it so that we can continue to play with these cards, maybe in just a variant format. I can't imagine that Wizards of the Coast is happy about this either, because like seriously, they're tanking the value of their reprints with Secret Lairs, with reprinting cards over and over again. And then there's a handful of cards that retain value that they can put in sets that cause people to still buy those sets. And this is 3 of them, 3 of their big high value reprint cards. And they can't reprint them anymore. I just can't understand the reasoning behind this. It's not a good business decision, that's for sure. And I didn't hear a lot of people calling out for these cards to be banned. It's like Dockside Extortionist, like some people really hate that card. But really, who was calling for Jeweled Lotus to be banned? It's not even a card that goes in every deck. And sure, is it powerful? Of course. But other than that, it only works sometimes. And now you can't use it at all. I mean, I think for a while someone was using it in like Vintage or something, like in a weird way, but yeah, it's a commander card. That's the only place you're going to use this for the most part. Mana Crypt, not so much. You could use Mana Crypt in other formats, but that's where most people used it, was in Commander. So yeah. Anyways, I'm rambling. Disappointed, really kind of wanting to reevaluate some things, and just thought I'd talk about it. All right, everybody, let me know what you think. If you want to comment down below, feel free. If you disagree, that's fine too. I'm not going to argue with you. I completely understand some of the perspectives, especially with Dockside Extortionist, but it's really kind of disappointing. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day.